Hello, my name's Adam Barsky and I'm a personal trainer and online coach, and I work predominantly with females over the age of 35 years old who've struggled to lose weight using conventional methods. So what do I mean by conventional methods? I mean by counting calories, so going on say a calorie restricted diet, monitoring your macros, getting your steps in, going to the gym X number of times a week. If you're finding that you're doing all those things, i.e. all the things that we're told to do, and you are still not losing weight, I'm here to explain the 5 reasons why you're possibly not getting the result that you would expect to get based on your hard work. So I'm going to explain why the low calorie diet doesn't necessarily work for you and how we can get the scales moving again. So I'd like to start off with a little bit of an apology on behalf of personal trainers. Like I said at the start, I'm a personal trainer. Why am I apologising on behalf of personal trainers? And that is because personal trainers in general aren't overly clued up from a nutritional perspective, and it's not their fault. So in terms of when you qualify as a personal trainer and you do your level 3 personal training course, the majority of what you learn is all about the exercises themselves. And I can recall when I did mine, there was maybe 3 or 4 questions on nutrition. And I can still remember now, one of those 3 or 4 questions on nutrition was this. It was the NHS guidelines state that you should have how many portions of fruit and vegetables per day? And the answers were multiple choice. And I can remember thinking back then, like, wow, like off the back of me doing this, I'm now expected to be at a level where I can give kind of nutritional advice to my clients, and this is the barrier to entry here. So yeah, in my opinion, personal trainers haven't had that training to be able to really help you on your weight loss journey. And what you'll generally find with personal trainers and their clients is clients will fit into one of 2 categories. Okay, so there's the first client that a personal trainer will give them a calorie target, a protein target, a step count, and a few workouts to do, and the weight will fall off them. Okay, so they'll meet their targets quite quickly. Then you've got the other 50% of people, which in my experience tends to be females over the age of 35 who, like I say, will reduce their calories significantly, do everything that they're told to do, stick to the plan perfectly, but just can't seem to lose the weight. And I kind of want to focus on that 50% of people. So it's not that you are doing anything wrong, it's just that the plan that you've been given isn't right for you. And the purpose of this video is for me to explain to you why you might fall into that category, and more importantly, how you can kind of overcome that obstacle to get the scales working in your favour once again. So I want to start off with a little bit of a story. So one of my clients, she won't mind me saying her name, she's called Sophie. So for the best part of a decade, she's worked with various personal trainers and online coaches hoping to lose weight. Now Sophie started working with me maybe 6 months ago now, and she came to me just completely deflated. And I think she'd worked with about 5 different trainers in the past year, and she's been around them all and just wanting to lose weight, and every single time she's failed to lose weight. So what I asked her to do was make me a little bit of a food diary. I made her an exercise plan, and I was confident that I could get things working for her. So anyway, I put her on a calorie control diet, and she followed it to a T. So I was monitoring her eating habits on MyFitnessPal, and week on week the scales were either not moving or they were slightly increasing. And I can remember thinking, what's kind of going on here? Like, I believed her when she said, I'm sticking to this. Do you know what I mean? She was kind of at breaking point at this point, saying I can't understand why the scales aren't moving. So at this point, I invested further into my own nutritional knowledge, because I felt like I was failing Sophie and I didn't want to be the next personal trainer to have failed her. So I began working with a PhD nutritionist who's formerly worked with professional footballers and professional cricketers in terms of trying to further my own nutritional knowledge, so that I could try and get a result for clients like Sophie. So yeah, that's what I did. Went away, leveled up my own nutritional knowledge, and based on what I've learned with the nutritionist who I continue to work with on a weekly basis, I applied a slightly different approach with Sophie that didn't involve counting calories whatsoever. And since then, she has lost a stone in weight, just over a stone, and she's managed to keep the weight off. And she openly said this is the first time in the last decade that I can recall being such a low weight and actually finding it sustainable, easy to stick to, and kind of taking the stress out of it in terms of not having to worry about constantly counting calories every day. Because let's face it, life's busy enough as it is. Who wants to be weighing out the food every day, counting macros? Do you know what I mean? Being starving, walking around hungry all day. I know someone once said to me that is being hungry just a side effect of dieting? And I said, yeah, if you're doing it wrong. So there is no reason why you should be starving and not losing weight at the same time. So my approach is going to effectively suppress your appetite in a way that you don't have that element of food noise every day, but you're still going to lose weight, as I say, without having to effectively punish yourself. Okay, so if you follow what I'm going to tell you to do, I would expect you to lose a minimum of 0.5 stone in your first 4 weeks and to continue losing weight here on in. And like I say, I am not going to ask you to weigh out food or anything time consuming like that, all the things that you've done in the past. I'm going to kind of flip the whole approach on its head. So I myself have adopted this way of eating. Initially, in the first instance, I thought to myself, I'm going to do it for 4 weeks just so I can kind of appreciate what my clients are going through. And I lost 0.5 stone myself. At that point, I wasn't bothered about losing any more weight. However, for me, I noticed a big change in my energy levels. So what I used to find is it'd get to mid-afternoon and I'd find myself like crashing. I'd feel like I desperately needed a nap and I couldn't get through the day unless I'd shut my eyes for maybe 20 minutes, half an hour. And as probably a lot of you know, life is too busy to have a nap in the middle of the day. At this point, I was thinking, I'm going to have to go to the doctor's here. There's something wrong with me. Since I changed my diet, I do not have any of them crashes in the afternoon anymore. So for that reason, I have now been just over 6 months now on this diet and feel the best that I've ever felt and training the best that I've ever felt as well. So yeah, like I say, if you've tried low calories in the past and you've failed to lose weight, it's not your fault. Just the approach has been the wrong approach for you. And I completely get it in terms of the fact that nutrition is confusing. So you're probably hearing loads of different kind of approaches from loads of different people, and it can be quite overwhelming in terms of knowing what the right approach is. So some people, for example, say you should limit your red meat intake. Some people say no, red meat's the best thing you can eat. Some people say eggs, you need to watch how many eggs you're eating in a week. Some people say no, eggs are brilliant. You know what I mean? Some people are saying avoid seed oils. Like, it can be a little bit of a minefield. So what I want to kind of do is act as a little bit of a guide for you and to cut through the noise and basically say, this is the approach that I propose for you. This is the result you'll get. And I'm so confident that I'm going to get you that result, that I do offer basically a money back guarantee. So anybody who works with me and doesn't lose at least 0.5 stone in their first 4 weeks doesn't actually pay me a penny. So I first did a talk similar to this in person, and I had 14 people attend. Off the back of it, I had 13 of the 14 people who said that they'd like to start working with me, and all 13 of those people did lose a minimum of 0.5 stone in the first 4 weeks. They've continued to work with me and they've continued to lose weight week on week. There was one person who came who didn't get on board with it. However, strangely enough, the following weekend I happened to see her doing a food shop in Sainsbury's, and I can recall just tapping in to see what was in her trolley, and it turned out that a lot of the food that was in the trolley was the sort of food that I'd recommended during the talk that I'd done a week earlier. And I kind of looked at her, I said, oh, are you trying this approach that I spoke about last week? And she kind of looked at me sheepishly and she said, yeah. And I said, no, that's absolutely brilliant. Like, no need kind of for me to hold your hand. If you feel like you can do it yourself, not a problem. Best of luck with it. If you do need any help, give me a shout. That was that. Anyway, I saw her in the gym maybe a week or two later and I asked her how it was going, and she looked at me and said, yeah, I'll be honest, I've stopped doing it. It's too difficult. I don't really know what I'm doing. Now, coincidentally, like I say, the other 13 people who are still working with me now have absolutely smashed it and they've continued to lose weight week on week. Yeah, the one person who obviously chose not to work with me long term ended up being the one who fell off the wagon effectively within the first couple of weeks and hasn't been able to maintain. So yeah, I'll get onto that at the end.